What is up, folks? Our friends, our industry compadres, our colleagues, our amigos. What is going on? This is your co-host Gideon Williams with yet another episode of the Auto Trends podcast. We have been absolutely moving and shaking. It is surprisingly, I enjoy the crap out of doing this for whatever reason. Every single episode, we dive into automotive, we dive into the automakers. What are they doing? Where is it going? We have Q4 has ended. We are looking at very soon where Q4 reporting is coming out to. Where is all the growth happening? Are EVs going to continue to take a back seat? Are they not? What's happening in the parts industry? If you're an international manufacturer, you're looking to grow market share in North America, how do you do it? By investing little to no human capital, hiring nobody in North America, and just looking at a digital strategy or looking at partnerships. How do you do it? We're going to share that today, but it is an exciting time. Certainly in the Auto Trends podcast. And as always, Lucas, I'm your co-host, Gideon Williams, and we are freaking fired up, baby.
Absolutely, Gideon. A pleasure to be back and again, excited as well. We're recording this is episode number 16, I believe. We're approaching the 20 some odd episodes now, and it's been a blast. I think the first 20 episodes that we've done have been tremendous, and they just keep getting easier, as we do them more and more. We're getting the hang of it, not that we're professionals by any stretch, but it's just enjoyable to do. It's something we enjoy talking about and, reaching out to everybody, connecting with everybody. So no, it's a pleasure.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's what we do every day, all day. I mean, and the great thing is that we basically just take our experience, we take what we're doing, and we share, information out into the world of automotive, and
Yeah.
it's thrilling. And as always, folks, to our listeners, we have a continually growing base of listeners. I'm blown away and encouraged by the continual engagement that we're getting. Please like and subscribe. That's the best way to support our podcast. That's the best way to support what we do. And as always, if you have insights in the industry or you have an initiative that you're looking for support on, or a platform to hurl your message, please, man, reach out to us.
Yeah.
Info at autotrendsam.com, or you can bump us on LinkedIn. Either way, it's a pretty straightforward process. We virtually have to spend a ton of time figuring out what you're going to talk about. No, just come with your insights, and a lot of times you just let your experience kind of pull through into these things and share your insights. So we love having guests on. So please, we're here for the industry. This is what we do, and we're excited to kick this baby off.
Exactly. And I think what's great is, we really kind of niched ourselves. We're not going after the huge, big, broad market, automotive. We provide a little bit of news, a little bit of insights. But I mean, if you are interested in aftermarket parts, you're a manufacturer, you're a distributor, you're an e-tailer or retailer, and you're interested in growing the e-commerce side of your business, that's who our listeners are. So if you're in any one of those industries, this is for you, and that's it, and I think we've done a great job in niching that, Gideon, and I think we're getting that feedback, as well from our listeners, and the people that are contacting us are the people that we do want watching this. It's certainly not a podcast for everybody in the auto industry because it is very niche focused, but I think we're doing a good job, addressing the issues, keeping everybody up to date about e-commerce, and again, if you want to, Gideon, myself, anytime to sit in on your meetings, again, whether you're a manufacturer, distributor, e-tailer, retailer, and you would just like our insights, and not just for you to hear it because you're listening to our podcast, but as part of your company or corporation, and you want us to sit in on a meeting, let us know. Reach out to us. Send us an email.
Yeah, well, I think that most manufacturers are struggling in this arena, and
Yeah.
it's very, very common in this stage of the game where historically, manufacturers have primarily been a B2B organization and primarily had wholesale order portals for their customers, and they are very selective on who their buyers are. But what we've seen is that the digital era has pushed that kind of old way of doing business. There's a new kind of digital a resurgence, right? The importance of your catalog, the importance of pies and aces, the importance of leverage, the importance of the flow of information. I think I've made the comment before. The example is like, well, how did your granddad buy stocks? Well, he'd looked at the newspaper, and by the time he got the newspaper, that information is not valid, right? It's old
Exactly.
information, and it's just the flow of information. And I'm seeing across the board, our industry is getting better at making information available. If you're a manufacturer and you're not presenting the customer base, whether you're a DIY, whether you're a B2B, whether, if you're not presenting every item that you have in the marketplace as an available item, whether it's from a partner and it sits in a distributor's world or it sits in your warehouse, you're not on the right path.
Yeah.
It was kind of like a page out of the Amazon book early on. Is their objective was to have every part available at any given time, right? And we've seen the evolution from Amazon as just purely as an example, but now they've attacked every industry known to man. And but we've seen that model work, but we've also seen that Amazon really doesn't have your best interests at heart as a manufacturer, as a distributor, hits you with massive chargebacks. That's really not a partnership, right? It's always open a case,
No.
open another case. Okay, thank you guys.
Yeah.
And so, when you look at it, how do you grow? How do you grow your market share, and how do you do it smartly? And how do you look at the digital age? I've said it before, and Lucas, low risk, high upside, right? If you
Exactly.
begin to invest millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars in a project and it doesn't pan out and it doesn't correlate to benefits or top line revenue, which means bottom line revenue profitability, it becomes a negative experience. And
Yeah.
so I think whenever you really don't know much about it or you feel, hey, we're just going to try, look for really low risk wins that have upside to reach economies of scale, that have upside to take you to the next level. I see it all the time that, over a period of 12 months or 18 months, a manufacturer will start very slow and they will start very incremental. And by 12 and 18 months, they're just high-fiving left and right because they've doubled and tripled and quadrupled, their online market share. They're seeing the consumer data flow in. They're seeing their marketing campaigns actually connect with the consumer. And that's the key. So we'll talk about a lot about that today, with international manufacturers, because I think that they've struggled in this arena forever. But I think we've got some insights that really can kind of push them to the next level.
Yeah, and you kind of hit it right on the head, I think, when you said, it's really a marketing play as well. So you have to be extremely strategic in implementing your e-commerce platform, but alongside with that, in parallel, you're kind of driving along a path with your marketing and your branding that has to be very strategic as well. Because especially, again, we'll be talking about the international market today, but everybody in this digital age has a huge megaphone, a huge microphone to reach, the global market. I mean, if you look back, let's say 30 years ago, nobody could afford 30, 40 years ago. You're talking the big guys like Coca-Cola. Maybe they have
Mhm.
a marketing budget that would cost millions and millions. Let's say, 40 years ago, if you wanted to reach the global market, just like I can go online and send out a tweet, I can put a post on LinkedIn, I can go on Instagram or TikTok and reach literally millions of people in seconds for no cost whatsoever. And we're all on that level playing field now. That doesn't cost millions anymore. So you don't have to be the largest corporation in the world to reach millions of people. But I think with your marketing plan, especially with these international sellers, the key thing is, don't just be average. Don't sell, like so Seth Godin would say, average stuff to average people. Really, think about your branding, think about your marketing. Don't just think, okay, great, I'm going to go online, I'm going to sell auto parts. And again, I'm going to be the cheapest, or I think mine are the best, just because I have them, just because they're mine. Don't be foolish because there's tons of competition out there. So really think through your marketing and branding plan through and what you stand behind. What does your brand actually believe in and convey that message?
I think it's key. I think there's two pieces of that puzzle. Is one, you need the infrastructure to get you there, right, to reach economies of scale, to take market share, to evolve. And then the second one that runs really a fast follow is, to your point, your branding. And I think that largely in the automotive, from a manufacturer perspective, that never was really a big deal, because it almost was like, well, you just get into distribution, and distribution takes you the last mile. And, I can't tell you how many times I've had conversation with manufacturers on, well, what's your e-commerce strategy? How are you going to kind of move yourself into either continue to own market share, or grow market share? And I'm always amazed by the answer is, oh, well, we just push that off on our distributors.
Yeah.
Really? Really? You trust those guys that much?
Right.
I,
Yeah.
really? I would not do that. That's not
Okay.
wise. That's not smart. You're telling me a distributor that has 500 plus brands that you're the lucky coin, you're the lucky goat, you're the guy, that they're just gonna make sure that you get taken care of? No, 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 man.
Yeah.
Everything happens for a reason. Luck is created. Be intentional with your strategy. Um, the big shift, and this is where we're going to talk about international manufacturers, is there's a big shift going on how manufacturers are thinking about their digital experience, right? What's happened is retailers have come into the marketplace, and they've created that digital experience, whether you like it or not. And then it becomes, boom, price to the bottom of their distribution, right? So what you've actually done is you've put your distribution model in a high level of risk, because you're just basically pushing it off of them and saying, well, you go figure out the volume. I don't care if you make money or not. Right. And that's a problem. And so what we're seeing is, for one, distribution not happy with that model, because it's race to the bottom. And anything that goes race to the bottom, you should eject that meeting immediately. If you go into a meeting and everyone's like price, 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 shut your
Yeah.
meeting down and leave. Walk away. Don't even say
Yeah.
bye, but take a cup of coffee and a donut. At least get
Exactly.
something free out of
Exactly.
the deal. you
Exactly.
know? And
Exactly.
so when we look at manufacturers, and we look at even a small mid-level manufacturer, right? If I'm in this game right now and I'm a small mid-market manufacturer, I'm happy as shit. Why? Because we're getting freaky. I mean, we're getting after it, right? Because what we've seen is the digital presence can overtake a monster very quickly, with sound strategies, with being nimble, with starting with low risk, high upside, and you're going to catch these big guys with their pants down. It is ripe for the taking as a small market, mid market manufacturer in the US. There's a few components. You got to get distribution online to fulfill your demand, and you've got to have a really sound D2C strategy, right? Everything that comes through your world from a consumer perspective, take that data and then start your campaign, man. Get that branding campaign rolling. But again, we'll focus on the international piece today, because I think a lot of international manufacturers, they have a few challenges. They don't understand the North America market. They're trying to grow the North America market. And in their sales strategies and growth strategies, they have North America circled. Why? Because it's a big market. It's buying a lot of parts. It's just a large market share to own. But then they go back to the drawing board and they're like, ah, shit, how do we grow it? And so we're going to share some insights on that today, on how you can grow that with very
Yeah. I
little
think
risk.
no, exactly. You're right. And you got to just pick your partnerships very carefully. I think that's, one of the key things is understand who you're partnering with. What are your intentions and what are their intentions? Because at the end of the day, they're going to look after themselves. In most circumstances, dealing with a lot of these corporation or large
Mhm.
manufacturers, they're looking out for their own best interest. But definitely, there is good partners out there, Gideon. We see them, we know who they are. So if you want to know who they are, reach out to us because we can put you in touch with them. But there are some fantastic partners that will truly be a partner, not just a business associate or business partner, whatever they want to call themselves, but who will be there that will help you with your own marketing, your own branding, getting your message out there. That will be a true partner that they do want to see your success because your success is ultimately their success. Um, so again, yeah, always keep that in mind. What market are you trying to serve, and what partners do you want to bring along for that drive, especially if it's your own business. That's absolutely key.
Well, and so I think whenever you look at international, your presence, I want to just start with this. If you're looking to grow your presence in North America, and you're an international manufacturer, right? You live in Europe, you live in Asia, you live in somewhere outside, right? Your presence is not, the 95% of your P&L is not in North America. It's easy to start and say, well, let's go hire a sales team in North America. Let's contract with a sales, an automotive sales organization that's going to help us. And they're going to say, yeah, we could do this. We know this people. We know them. Do not hire one person. Do not hire one person. Well, we're going to hire somebody in the East. We're going to hire somebody in the West. Good luck. That's the old days. That's the old way of doing things. Do not hire any human capital and have now hundreds of $1,000s in payroll with no results out of the gate. You've just increased the risk, and you've just increased the opportunity to be not happy or not pleased with the result, right? Have a high risk. You need to produce. For next thing is know your competition, right? So know exactly who you want to beat. I mean, know exactly who you want to beat. These are the 5 guys we want to beat, guys, period. Everyone knows it. And it becomes almost like a mission. It becomes almost like they've stolen your candy at lunch, right? And it gets personal. You want it to get personal. Know your competition. If you got your 5 big competitors in North America, you know everything about them, right? And begin to peel back what they're doing on the marketing. There's ways you can deploy to go out and figure out where they're spending capital. Where's that money going? How much are they spending? What's their market share, right? So there's great agencies that will go in and say, what's our competitor analysis? You know exactly your competitors, right? And then you begin to think about your direct to consumer strategy. There's 2 pieces of the pie. No human capital for just out of the gate. Know your competitors better than they know themselves. And the 2 strategies, the 2 pieces you got to get right is your direct consumer strategy. What platform are you going to build on? How is it going to look? What's the branding? How does that look? And the second piece, can that platform connect into a distribution network? Whether it's 1 distributor, whether it's 2 or 3. And now you devise a plan to where they stock your product. You develop your D2C strategy in North America. You deploy your marketing campaign to begin to slowly take market share away from your competitors and drive that volume into the distributors. As distributors fulfill that volume, and their sales continue to increase over a period of time, you're slowly taking market share away from your competitors. You're deploying it in North America, and you're using the distribution model in North America, the great distributors that are partners to you, to fulfill that demand. And now over a period of time, you're slowly growing. I think that is the number 1 missed play in North America for manufacturers in an international setting. In that model, you have 0 risk, no human capital, very little upfront e-commerce investment, and we're happy to put you guys in touch with the right people to make it. I think people overlook these as $100,000 investments, $1 million investments. Not even close. Not even close. If you get a good digital partner that knows automotive and they know what they're doing, and they're developing and they're forward, it's really not a large investment at all. Very, very, very minimal. Maybe a quarter of an employee. If you bought 1 leg from a bad employee, that's about what it would cost.
Yeah. And like you say, really understand who your competition is. I mean, that's so important. And understand who they are, but then more so understand who you are. Because if you are an international manufacturer, why are they going to buy from you? Why is anybody here going to buy from you? And if you're looking at what marketing they're doing, probably don't copy what they're doing. Do something wildly different. Really brand yourself as with your beliefs, your whatever the case may be. But really set yourself aside that people have a clear differentiator between I love Starbucks coffee versus I love Tim Hortons coffee. I go into Starbucks because it's a beautiful environment. I pay a lot more for the coffee, but I've got nice chairs to sit on. I've got nice couches. I'm going to spend a lot of time in there versus I'm going to go to Tim Hortons because I want something cheap, quick, and they don't give me comfortable chairs to sit on because I'm not paying a lot for the coffee. So they just want me in and out that door. They don't want me staying there for hours versus Starbucks does want me sitting there for hours to buy more food, to buy more coffee, you know. So really, understand yourself. And again, my advice on that is, niche yourself. Understand what market are you trying to go after. And, as they say, everybody's pissing in the same pool, so to speak. So don't do what everybody else is doing. Don't spam, people, buy parts from me, buy parts from me, interrupting people's day, you've got ads everywhere. Really target your market and add value. I think that's the biggest thing, Gideon, that we see. If you're a retailer, an e-tailer, a distributor, even a manufacturer, if you're posting things online or you're really branding yourself and marketing yourself by adding value to your customers with the advertising and stuff that you're doing, they're much more apt to buy from you. But if you're just constantly being interrupted your day with bombarding with ads and spam emails, and that's not going to work. Those days are long gone because again, you might think you're clever sending all these people an email. Meanwhile, do you not think the other 1,000, 2,000 manufacturers are got the exact same email list that you do, have access to the exact same resources? So how many emails are they getting a day? So it's building that relationship, through, whether it's through your website, through your social media channels. But again, really grab their attention, not please buy my brakes because I've got the best brakes. We've heard that, everybody says that. So really understand your brand. And a quick note on that, actually, Gideon, I won't mention any names, but it was interesting. A guy had sent me a message the other day, and there's a very, very large manufacturer slash distributor in the US. And we were kind of talking about, that I'm involved in this stuff. And he said, and again, I won't name the name of the company, just so that we're not that controversial today, but
Yeah.
they really make a point of, which I actually will back. So, I agree with it. But he said, it was obviously just Easter and whatnot. But he said their branding, they always say, Merry Christmas. And, in their ads, they'll talk about Jesus or, they're not, shying away. And not that they're, biased towards Christianity and, they don't like Muslims there. They're very multicultural. But on those specific holidays, they're not afraid to say, it's Christmas, Merry Christmas. It's not Happy Holidays, but they make a specific point. Now, do they piss people off by doing that? 100%. Do you think they care? Absolutely not. Because it is, and again, without mentioning the brand, it's a huge corporation, but more of a family-owned corporation. So they've said what their values are. If you don't like the fact that they say that, they're completely comfortable with you going somewhere else to buy your parts. But that's what makes them unique, and that's what makes their customers love them. I think as the saying goes, if everybody loves you, then or if everybody likes you, nobody really loves you.
That's right.
So you've got to piss, people off. So you got to have a few people that hate you and, lots of people that love you. But yeah, if everybody likes you, then nobody loves you. So really define who your brand is and stick to it.
That's so true. I think when you look at branding 101 with Lucas Welk here, is if everybody likes you, no one loves you, right?
Yeah.
And it's so true. And I've always just know your values, man. Know your values and stick to them. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Somebody might not like them. I go back. I was in grad school and we were talking about the whole Chick-fil-A's gone bazonkers, right? The wraparound, everything. Oh my gosh, they're always happy in there. And I was like, yeah, I love the damn chicken sandwich, whatever. And this lady, she says, I've never eaten it once in my life. I said, oh, why? Because it's a pretty damn good chicken sandwich. I don't align with their values. Oh, okay. Right. She hated them. Right. But that's a prime example. It's okay. It's okay. You don't have to like them. They don't have to like you. It doesn't matter. Exactly. But that wraparound drive-through goes pretty quick, and they're pretty good at what they do. But that's kind of to the point is they don't really care what everyone thinks, but this is their values. Take it or leave it. We're okay with that. But and I think when you look at that, and certainly you become an international manufacturer, if you're trying to be good at everything, you're good at nothing, right? And that's I think the biggest point. And when you look at these pieces, I mean, growing a North America market share is not that difficult today. Have a sound platform that you're going to run your operations off of. You deploy a really sound, D2C strategy, right? So your platform, your D2C strategy, and then you look at your strategic WD partners, right? You're looking for partners that truly are partners to you, and because they're happy because you're just going to dump volume, and then obviously, and you just look to continue to make adjustments to grow that market share in that model. I think people have got it. When we begin to look at growth, I just think a lot of big manufacturers are asleep at the wheel. I really do. I think they're locked up in lack of knowledge. I think they're locked up in lack of understanding what this digital age is bringing. I don't think they know how to interpret it. I don't think they know what to do. I think they have big strategies and visions and big meetings and it just takes a long time for things to happen. And then whenever it doesn't work out, they have such a high investment in capital, becomes a negative experience. And now we're back to square one, and now we're disorganized. Right.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
and I'm telling you, if you are a small manufacturer, a mid manufacturer, and you have a little bit of a budget, don't go hire anybody. I've seen that mistake about 5,000 gazillion times. Don't go hire just some sales guy that says they're good at sales and they know this guy, they know that, they know. Okay, I don't care who you know, right? It goes back to how do you sell parts? People don't sell parts. Catalogs sell parts, man. Catalogs, a good quality catalog sells parts. Knowing your branding, knowing who you are, and I think as we work through that, I just think that there is so much opportunity around that piece in the business, and I think a lot of manufacturers are asleep at the wheel. I really do, and I think it's just a matter of time before there's a little bit of a wake up call happening. I mean, we were in a meeting not too long, and I won't refrain the names, but I think it goes back to branding, right? New manufacturer, right? They're in the brake business. They're looking at things, and they're vertically integrated, right? They're vertically integrated to the manufacturer, right? There's connection, there's ties all around that, right? Really high quality manufacturer for the OEs, manufacturers for massive aftermarket manufacturers. And so they've launched a brand, and this is the prime example, right? Is zero human capital, man. You don't need to hire more people. You don't need to hire people in the West Coast and East Coast. You don't need to do that. You don't need to go hire a sales organization to help push your product. If you do those are incremental. But in today's world, a sound, bulletproof digital strategy, no human capital, understanding who your competitors are, and building your brand around what you offer, what's the value prop, that right there will take you into the next 10 and 20 years. That will propel your business forward. And it's really a low investment, but there's a lack of knowledge across the board. There's a lack of understanding around this piece. There's a lack of experience in it. And so it becomes risk, right? It becomes high risk because you're not knowledgeable in this space. And so, we're constantly connecting people. We're connecting the dots. We're connecting folks, and we're seeing a lot of success with partners. And happy to introduce any manufacturer. Certainly, if you're an international manufacturer and you're like small mid, you're like, we have a very small market share in North America. We have one distributor. Okay, like you have a big opportunity to like grow market share at a really like
At a
aggressive
fast
level
pace.
at a
Well, and
fast
at a
pace.
fast pace, because I mean, these big guys, they don't move quickly. I mean, we see it
No,
all the time. So, I mean, if you're
no.
small to medium, you are small and agile. So if you've got the right team in place that you can move, you might make a few mistakes on the way, but the thing is just bloody move forward. Just pick the direction and run, because right now you can catch up to these big guys. I mean, Gideon, we sit in on meetings and meetings and meetings with these, large manufacturers and their board and their senior staff and their C-suite executives. And we talk about the same thing for months and months and months. Nobody there, I mean, fine, they're all trying to do their best in their positions, but at the end of the day, it's not their company. Whether it takes, if they decide to move on it tomorrow or they decide to move on it in 2 or 3 months, that's not a big deal. But when you're small and agile and, you can make these quick moves and, you're trying to grow and the team is hungry, this is where you really have a competitive advantage. So, and like Gideon said, we're talking small amounts of money here. You know, we're talking in the thousands to maybe maximum tens of thousands, depending on the size of your organization. But we're not talking about a big investment here starting out. So, you know, the thing is just start. You know, what do they say? What did they say? How does the saying go, Gideon? When's the best time to plant a tree? Well, 30 years ago. Well, when's the second best time? Today.
Today.
You know, right? Like, so it's like just move. You know, stop thinking about it, or at least just reach out, get the information that you need to get, and make an educated decision on it. And at least you have the information, and you might not decide to go do it immediately today. But I mean, reach out to us and say, right, you know, Lucas, Gideon, what does this cost? Here's what my organization is. Here's what we do. Can you just give us a framework what the cost is? It may not be something we're looking at doing in April, but this is kind of, you know, in the next quarter's plan in Q3 or Q4 of 2024. But at least you're going to have that information in place so that when you hit the go button, you're going to get flying, you know, and you have all that information there. So again, you know, I know a lot of people that are listening, Gideon, because we see it all the time. You know, they're kind of afraid to reach out. They might be kind of embarrassed, but they don't want to say, oh, you know, we can't afford that. They're kind of, you know, they're insecure in asking, you know, how much does this cost? Because they don't want to be embarrassed that they don't have that budget. But by all means, don't be embarrassed. You know what I mean? Get that information that you need to know, and at least you have it on hand, and you're ready to hit the go button.
Well, I think it goes back to the reason that we started Auto Trends podcast. The exact reason is that we constantly were seeing just a lack of experience, and whether or not we can or can't help, or whether or not, you know, you find this useful. You know, our objective is to continue to be in alignment with the industry and helping people look forward and pushing forward, pushing hard and fast and aggressive. And these are some areas that you can deploy. I think the age of, well, I just send my products to a distributor and they do everything else. That is like old man's thinking, pal. I mean,
that's right.
you know, and we really need to button up that perception, because it's a failed model. And we're seeing, I mean, when we look at the industry, we're seeing, you know, we're seeing new techs come in, older techs age out, leadership is beginning to kind of change over from that younger kind of tech savvy world in the old. And so there's a little bit of a clash, and we're going to continue to see that piece of it. But I think when we begin to look at okay, I'm an international manufacturer, what do I need to do? Very, 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 very simple. You have to look at a platform to develop out a D2C strategy. You have to look at a strategic WD, right? We can put you in touch with great distributors that are strategic, they know the game, and they're very forward, right? You have to own the consumer data. When the consumer data is coming into you, take that consumer data and build a really badass brand initiative, right? That's kind of the marketing piece. And then lastly, I think, you know, when we look at it, is cataloging, right? Pies and aces. If you're an international manufacturer and you're unsure on cataloging, in North America, the Auto Care Association has deployed a set of standards, and those standards are pies and aces. Pies is the enrichment data of the catalog, right? The images, the about, right? What does it look like? The aces is all of the fitment data. And whenever you begin to put that into a standard, you take that data. Now, a lot of your industry platforms will suck that in because it's a standard, and they're all of the formats are set to where they just ingest that data. We have some phenomenal data partners that we leverage all the time. I'm actually going to see Courtney Peddler out in Chicago here in about 3 weeks. Happy to make an introduction. Happy to help you with a catalog piece. That is the number one thing that you know that you have to have a really sound catalog, because everything else follows it. But you know, regardless, I think there's a ton of other things that can be deployed, and we go down deeper. But I think that's really the critical piece of, I'm an international manufacturer. How do I grow North America market share with little to no investment up front? And that's basically the model. And there's an opportunity to own market share and jolt some of the your big competitors. It's the opportunity has never been better than now for sure.
Yeah. And a lot of these companies that we can put you in touch to for these e-commerce platforms, a lot of them have their own in-house, marketing agencies as well. Now, there is great marketing agencies out there that are geared towards the automotive industry, but a lot of these e-commerce platforms also have their own in-house marketing teams, and you do see the value there, because these guys, again, they're in touch all the time with the industry, so they're focused on the automotive industry, so they're going to provide you with clear insights on where to spend your money, where are you going to spend your Google ad spend. You want to put a brand down, how are we going to deploy that money, where is that best effectively allocated, and so to understand where your customers are consuming advertising. Are they watching videos? Are they on LinkedIn? Are they watching TikTok videos? But again, these platforms will custom tailor your marketing branding strategy to the automotive industry and around your brand. So again, so if you're sitting there thinking, okay, that's great, I've got a great e-commerce platform, now how the hell do I get people to go to my website? But again, that's something that they can do for you. And again, make sure you're deploying your money smart. Don't just hire any agency that happens to sell cosmetics, because they may be really great at selling cosmetics, but what do they know about the automotive industry? They could be the best, cosmetic sellers and marketers on the planet, but if you don't understand the specific industry, it's not going to work.
100%. Well, folks, we're getting about up on time. And just to recap and kind of close this episode out, if I'm an international manufacturer and I want to grow North America market share, very simple. Deploy a really sound direct-to-consumer strategy. Dial in your catalog with a Pies and Aces. Happy to make an intro there. Select very strategic WD partners, because they're going to fulfill that demand from your direct-to-consumer business, and you're going to slowly overcome and gain market share. Take the consumer data. Take the North American consumer data. Build it into a marketing strategy that your competitors, and be very, very, very prescriptive on what we're looking to achieve. I'm looking to achieve removal of market share from competitor A for these particular SKUs and move them to us. That can be done, folks. Again, as always, please like and subscribe. We are the Auto Trends Podcast, and this is how we are the voice of the industry. And again, if you have any initiatives, you have anything that you want to share, you believe that, hey, I need somebody to help support me in this particular facet, reach out to myself, Lucas, info@autotrendsam.com. We are here for the industry, folks. We are the Auto Trends.